You have been breathing your whole life, but you've likely never truly breathed. Think about that for a moment. The breath, so constant, so quiet, slips beneath the radar of our awareness. It is invisible, automatic, and overlooked. And yet, across ancient civilizations, the breath was revered not just as a biological function, but as a divine ritual, a mystical force, a sacred key. So how did we forget? How did humanity go from temples that taught breath as a spiritual science to lives governed by stress, shallow inhalations, and digital distractions? Let this be your awakening. Let this be the breath that reminds your soul of something it once knew. There was a time when breath was not just survival, it was transformation. From the yogic caves of the Himalayas to the pyramid chambers of Egypt and the oracles of Greece, breath was the universal symbol of life force, of spirit, of the sacred connection between body, mind, and soul. The ancient Sanskrit word prana does not mean air, it means life energy. In Greek, pneuma means breath and spirit, the same word for both. In Hebrew, ruach. In Latin, spiritus. In ancient Chinese, qi. All these traditions recognize what modern society has forgotten, that to breathe is to channel power, to inhale is to receive, to exhale is to release. Each breath a prayer, each breath a portal. You may believe that your thoughts are the drivers of your destiny, but what if it's your breath that steers the course of your mind? What if before manifestation, before intention, before vision boards and affirmations, there was only this, the rhythm of your breathing? That's where the ancients began, and that's where you must begin too. Let's go back. Not just in time, but in consciousness. Close your eyes. Imagine you are in an ancient Egyptian temple. Columns soar above you, inscribed with hieroglyphs that sing of the gods. In the inner sanctum, initiates gather, not to pray but to breathe. You see no words, no scripture, just stillness. And in that stillness, a slow, controlled breath in unison. This was their ritual, a practice older than language. Before books, before doctrines, there was the breath. And within the breath, a portal to realms beyond logic. The initiates knew something. When you control the breath, you control your state. When you master the rhythm of your lungs, you alter the rhythm of your brainwaves, your emotions, your energy field. This wasn't theory, it was experience. They felt it, and soon so will you. In ancient India, the yogis taught pranayama not as a wellness trick, but as a gateway to spiritual liberation. Their breathing techniques were precise, disciplined, intentional, not to feel relaxed, but to activate inner fire, kundalini, to cross veils between worlds, to hear the soul whisper. And the Greeks? They believed in pneuma, the animating breath that connected human life with divine intelligence. Socrates didn't speak of the mind alone, but of the harmony between the rational soul and the breath. The Delphic oracles would fast and breathe rhythmically before entering trance states to channel wisdom. Can you see the pattern? Breath was not medicine. Breath was not therapy. Breath was worship. And somewhere along the line, in the age of machines, lights, screens, and stress, you traded that sacred right for convenience, for speed, for survival. But your body remembers. And now you are being called to remember too. Why is this important now? Because you live in a world that suffocates you while letting you think you're breathing. A world of rapid consumption, constant anxiety, and chronic disconnection. You may not notice it, but most of the day, you are not breathing. You are barely surviving. Shallow breaths, tight chest, a nervous system hijacked by notifications and noise. But the deeper truth is this: you are not your thoughts. You are the space between them. And breath is the path into that space. It is not just air, it is awareness. Every conscious breath you take is a rebellion against chaos, a reclaiming of your power, a step back into alignment. You may not be able to control the world, but you can control this inhale, this exhale. And in doing so, you begin to control your state, your perception, your destiny. You begin to remember who you are. So take a breath now, a real one. Inhale slowly through the nose. Let it stretch your belly, not your chest. Hold it. Feel it. Now exhale gently through the mouth. Feel what it's like to let go. You didn't just breathe, you activated an ancient signal. A signal your body recognizes as sacred, your soul recognizes as home. Do you feel it? That slight tingle, that moment of pause, that is the beginning, not just of this practice, but of your rebirth. Because before you can manifest the life you want, before you can attract, create, or transform, you must remember the breath. you must remember that the breath is not just a bridge, it is the altar. And on that altar, you place your fear, your longing, your hope, your power. And with every breath forward, you will reclaim them all. So now, as we move deeper into this journey, past the veil of myth and into the mechanics of breath alchemy, you'll see how the ancients encoded spiritual truth in every inhale and exhale. You'll discover that this isn't about information, it's about initiation. And you're already inside the temple. You think you breathe to stay alive. But the sages of old would tell you this: you are alive so that you may breathe. Because in every inhale is a chance to receive. In every exhale, a sacred offering. The ancients understood what we now call breath control was never about respiration. It was about alchemy, about transmutation, about taking something invisible and turning it into transformation, energy, awareness, power. They weren't just meditating, they were becoming. Walk with me for a moment into the Vedic forests of ancient India, not with your feet, but with your inner sight. Monks sit silently, eyes half-lidded, spines straight as bamboo stalks. Around them, nothing but trees and wind, and yet something is happening. With each breath, these monks are shifting their consciousness, ascending, layer by layer, into altered states. They are not breathing air, they are breathing prana, the life force that saturates the cosmos. They inhale through one nostril, retain, exhale through the other, slow, deliberate, rhythmic. This isn't random. It's an energy circuit. They call it Nadi Shodhana, a purification of the subtle energy channels. The breath is the wand, the intention is the spell, and the body is the temple. And the result? Inner alchemy, the fusion of soul and body in a sacred flame. Now look west, to ancient Egypt, to the house of life, the Ankh, where priests and priestesses train not just in hieroglyphs, but in sacred embodiment. Their breathwork was not separate from their magic. It was the mechanism. They believed that to breathe in rhythm with certain chants activated Ka, the vital energy of the soul. That breath could summon deities, that a focused inhalation could bring clarity, prophecy, even healing. They performed controlled suspensions of the breath, what today you might call retention or breath holds, to commune with higher intelligences, to step between the veils. Why? Because stillness in the breath created stillness in the mind, and in that stillness, contact. You may know the word meditation, but they knew it as activation. The Greeks, too, practiced a form of breath-initiated awakening. The Stoics spoke of inner control through mastery of the breath. But even deeper, the Pythagoreans, those mathematical mystics, believed in breath harmonics. They saw the body as a lyre, the breath was the tuning string. And by slowing, shaping, and deepening the breath, you could attune to the music of the spheres, a divine resonance that brought the mind into harmony with the cosmos. Sound metaphysical? Maybe, but modern science is catching up. Today, neuroscience shows us what the ancients intuited. Your breath isn't just a body function, it's a control panel for your entire being. When you slow your breath to 5 to 6 cycles per minute, your heart rhythm synchronizes with your brainwaves. Your vagus nerve activates. You drop from beta to alpha, from stress to coherence. This isn't poetry, it's measurable. But back then, they didn't need EEGs. They could feel the magic. They lived it. Because for them, breath wasn't random. It was ritual. A sacred formula. And here's the mystery they knew. Inhalation brings in more than oxygen. It brings in energy, but only if you're conscious of it. Unconscious breath equals survival. Conscious breath equals power. The alchemy begins with awareness. So here's a question for you. When was the last time you truly inhaled as if your life was sacred? Not to get air, not to avoid panic, but to merge with something divine, to take in cosmic force, to sip the nectar of the universe through your nostrils, hold it in the chalice of your lungs, and then release what no longer serves you. That's breath alchemy, and it starts with reverence. Try this. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Not just the air, but light, energy, possibility. Hold it for 4. In that pause, imagine gold light saturating your brain, your spine, your heart. Now exhale through your mouth for 4. Let go of fear, distraction, past identity. Pause again for 4. This is not just a pattern, it is a ritual of power. The ancients encoded it in temples. The moderns call it box breathing. But beneath both names is something primal, something eternal. Breath as the philosopher's stone, turning anxiety into stillness, turning chaos into clarity, turning flesh into flame. What if every breath you took was a spell? What if your inhales were invocations, your holds, silent prayers, your exhales, offerings to the unseen? This is how the ancients lived. And you can too. You don't need a mountaintop. You don't need a pyramid. You only need presence. The breath is always with you. So make it sacred, make it conscious, make it yours. You were taught to trust what can be seen, measured, verified. And yet, the most vital aspect of your existence, your breath, remains largely unconscious. Mysterious, ethereal. What if that mystery wasn't superstition, but science waiting to be remembered? For centuries, mystics were ridiculed for their claims that the breath could alter emotion, access higher consciousness, even heal disease. But now, after decades of skeptical silence, modern science is beginning to whisper what the sages once sang. Your breath is the remote control of your nervous system, and the soul rides on its waves. Let's start with the biology. Each time you inhale, your sympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for alertness and action, activates. Each time you exhale, your parasympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for healing, digestion, and rest, awakens. Inhalation equals activation. Exhalation equals relaxation. This rhythmic dance is not just mechanical, it's electric. It sends signals through your vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in the body, which acts as a communication superhighway between your brain and every major organ. When you breathe slowly and deeply, the vagus nerve stimulates a relaxation response. Heart rate decreases, blood pressure lowers, cortisol drops. Your body enters coherence, a state where everything is flowing, synchronized, at peace. Sound familiar? To the yogis, this was sattva. To the Taoists, wu wei. To you, it can be home. Now let's talk about your brain. Your mind feels like a river of thoughts, but beneath it are rhythms, brainwaves, electrical pulses that determine your state of consciousness. Beta waves, alert, analytical. Alpha, relaxed, creative. Theta, meditative, intuitive. Delta, deep sleep. What determines your ability to enter these states? Breath. When you slow your breath to under 6 cycles per minute, what scientists call resonant breathing, you activate alpha and theta waves. Your brain shifts from chaos to harmony. You become more suggestible, more creative, more aware. This is not woo-woo. This is neurophysiology. This is the gateway to flow, to alignment, to transformation. Now let's go deeper. Heart-brain coherence. The HeartMath Institute discovered something extraordinary. Your heart generates the largest electromagnetic field in your body, 5,000 times more powerful than your brain's, and it communicates with your brain constantly. When your breath is irregular, your heart rate is erratic. When your breath becomes slow and rhythmic, your heart rate variability, HRV, becomes smooth, like a sine wave. This smooth HRV sends signals to your brain that all is well. In response, your brain releases oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, chemicals of connection, joy, clarity. You've entered coherence, not just physiologically, but energetically. This coherence isn't just healing, it's manifesting. Now pair this with quantum biology. Yes, science is discovering that your state of consciousness affects your cellular activity. DNA, for example, contracts under fear, expands under love. Molecules behave differently depending on the observer's intention, a fact proven in quantum mechanics. So what happens when you breathe with intention? When you inhale not just air but peace, when you exhale not just carbon but resistance, you begin to reprogram your biology. You align your electromagnetic field with the frequency of wholeness, of clarity, of abundance. Your cells begin to sing a different tune. You're not just changing mood, you're changing matter. Still skeptical? Let's talk real-life application. Anxiety, breathing activates the parasympathetic system, interrupting the fight-or-flight loop. Studies show that a 5-minute conscious breathing practice can reduce anxiety more than medication. Insomnia, slowed exhalation triggers melatonin production. A few rounds of breathwork before bed can induce theta wave states, helping you sleep deeply. Trauma? Trauma is stored not just in memory, but in the body. Breathwork accesses nonverbal layers of experience, allowing emotional release without words. This is why therapies like holotropic breathwork and transformational breath have become tools for deep healing. Productivity? Athletes, CEOs, and creatives alike use breathing techniques to enter flow states. The Navy SEALs use box breathing under high stress. Olympic athletes use breath control to enhance focus and resilience. This isn't about belief, it's about physiology, it's about control. It's about you choosing to reclaim the dashboard of your being. So now you stand at a threshold. On one side, reaction, stress, autopilot. On the other, intention, awareness, conscious breath. You don't need to become a monk. You don't need to chant in Sanskrit. You just need to breathe like you mean it. Because when science finally meets spirit, something miraculous happens. The mystery becomes measurable, and the sacred becomes practical. Try this simple coherence breath. Sit or lie down. Inhale through your nose for 5 seconds. Exhale through your mouth for 5 seconds. Repeat for 3 minutes. While breathing, visualize a soft golden light around your heart. With each breath, feel it growing, glowing, expanding. You've just shifted your HRV. You've soothed your nervous system. You've altered your brainwaves. You didn't leave your room, but you entered a higher reality. And this is only the beginning. Because if your breath can change your body, your heart, your mind, what else can it change? The answer comes in the next breath. You don't need to go to a temple to find the sacred. You are the temple. And breath is the incense that fills it, awakening echoes of what your soul already knows. This is not about learning something new. It's about remembering something ancient. Something encoded in your bones, whispered by your cells, humming just beneath the static of everyday life. You were born with this power. You only forgot. And now, we return. Rituals are the language of the soul. They bypass the logical mind and speak in the poetry of rhythm, intention, and embodiment. And across civilizations, the breath has always been central to these rituals, not as performance, but as portal. Let's begin with stillness. Do not confuse stillness with silence. True stillness is aliveness with presence. It's what the Sufis touched when they began their whirling, not to escape the world, but to become one with its pulse. Spinning, turning, they centered the breath in the heart, inhaled the divine, exhaled the ego. Their breath was not frantic, it was circular, like the movement of the stars, like the turning of the wheel of life. And what were they seeking? Not transcendence, but union. Now consider the yogis of India and Tibet. Their breath was ritualized into forms: kumbhaka, breath retention; ujjayi, victorious breath; bhastrika, bellows breath. These were not tools for fitness. These were codes. Each breath pattern a key that unlocked certain doors in the psyche and body. Kumbhaka, for instance, is the art of the pause. After inhale or exhale, there is a suspension, not empty, but full. In that moment of stillness, the mind is silenced. The ego stops speaking, and something else begins. They taught that this pause is where the soul speaks, not in the inhaling, not in the exhaling, but in the space in between. Isn't that where all transformation happens? Not during the storm, but in the quiet after. Not during the heartbreak, but in the breath you take before you rise again. In ancient China, Taoist monks practiced a different rhythm, one aligned with nature. They called it embryonic breathing, a slow, nearly imperceptible breath that mirrored the breathing of a fetus in the womb. Inhale into the lower abdomen, exhale without effort. Why? Because the Dan Tian, the energy center below your navel, was believed to be the furnace of the soul. When you breathe there, you light it. You stoke the eternal flame. The Taoists believed that when you breathed in harmony with nature, sunrise, sunset, moon cycles, you returned to your natural rhythm. You moved from time into timelessness. And in that timelessness, you remembered. So what are the elements of a breath ritual? 1. Space. Create a sanctuary. It can be a corner, a candlelit room, a balcony at dawn. Make it sacred. The body responds to space. When it sees reverence, it becomes reverent. 2. Intention. Before the first breath, speak your purpose, silently or aloud. I breathe to return to myself. I breathe to open my heart. I breathe to let go. 3. Rhythm. Choose your pattern. It could be a 4-4-4-4 box breath, a 4-7-8 calming breath, a 6-6 heart coherence breath. Let your body choose what it needs. 4. Symbolism. Use hand mudras, sacred geometry, or visualizations. Imagine inhaling golden light, exhaling shadows. Picture ancient temples, cosmic spirals, the pulse of a drum echoing in your spine. 5. Repetition. Make it a practice. Ritual is not a one-time act. It is devotion, a relationship. Breathe with the sunrise. Breathe before sleep. Breathe before decisions, after heartbreak, in moments of joy. Because every breath you take with awareness is a thread, stitching you back to your soul. Here's one you can do now. The breath of reclamation. Sit tall, ground your feet, soften your eyes. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 6. Hold your breath for a count of 3. Exhale through your mouth for a count of 9, like a sigh. At the bottom, hold the stillness for 3. Repeat for 10 cycles. With each inhale, say silently, I return. With each exhale, to who I truly am. Feel your shoulders drop, your jaw loosen, your chest open. This is not imagination, this is embodiment. You don't need incense or mantras to practice ritual. Your breath is enough, but if you wish, you can add them. Use frankincense to cleanse. Use sound, singing bowls, flutes, or a single tone repeated like a mantra. Say the names of your ancestors as you breathe. Whisper the qualities you desire: courage, peace, clarity. Or say nothing at all, just breathe. Let your breath speak the language of your soul. And don't be afraid to weep. Sometimes as you breathe consciously, old pain will rise. Memories, grief, forgotten shadows, let them come. Let the breath carry them. This is what the ancients meant by purification. Not punishment, but release. Let the breath strip you of what you were never meant to carry. Let it peel back the layers of performance, expectation, and numbness, until what's left is something primal, raw, sacred. You are not beginning a practice. You are remembering a lineage, one that stretches back thousands of years, one that spans continents, cultures, and cosmologies, and all of it is contained in your breath. You don't need to travel to a holy site. You are the holy site, and every time you breathe with presence, you step into the temple, and the temple bows back. So now you understand, your breath is ancient, it is sacred, it is transformative. But what if I told you it is also creative? Not metaphorically, literally. That every inhale carries the potential to reshape your reality. That every conscious exhale realigns your electromagnetic field with the vibration of your desires. That manifestation, true manifestation, is not about affirmations or vision boards. It begins with the breath. Pause for a moment. Why do some people seem to effortlessly attract opportunities, clarity, abundance, while others chase and grasp and still feel empty? It's not luck. It's not fate. It's frequency. Everything in this universe vibrates. Every thought, emotion, intention has a frequency. And like attracts like, not because of belief, but because of resonance. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what determines what you are? Your state. And nothing changes your state faster than your breath. You may have been taught to think positive, to visualize the outcome, to rehearse success in your mind. But if you're breathing shallowly, anxiously, unconsciously, your body is still broadcasting survival, lack, fear, desperation, and the universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. Breathing deeply isn't just for calm. It's a signal, a declaration to the quantum field. I am safe. I am whole. I am aligned. When you breathe with presence, your heart rate slows, your brain shifts into coherence, your cells open up to receive. This is not spirituality divorced from science. This is energetic alignment. This is what ancient initiates understood in silence, and what modern mystics are now reclaiming. Let's look at how. Each time you inhale with intention, you expand your energy field. You draw in not just oxygen, but prana, life force, from the collective field of consciousness. You become more than body, more than identity. You become signal. Each time you exhale, you release resistance. You let go of what blocks the flow, doubt, fear, constriction. This inhale-exhale rhythm becomes a loop of creation. Inhale, I receive energy and align with my vision. Exhale, I let go of what I no longer need. And with each cycle, you move from effort to allowing, from control to flow. Here's a ritual to embody that shift. The manifestation breath gate. Sit or stand with your spine tall. Inhale through your nose for a count of 7. As you do, visualize golden energy spiraling from the earth into your body, through your feet, spine, crown. Hold your breath for 3 counts. Say silently, I claim. Exhale slowly through pursed lips for 7 counts. As you do, visualize your desire flowing out into the field, encoded, clear, vibrating. At the bottom, pause for 3 counts. Say silently, so it is. Repeat this for 9 cycles. Afterward, sit in stillness. Don't rush. Let the field respond. Don't ask, where is it? Ask, what more can I release to allow it? Because your role is not to force. Your role is to align. This is what the Egyptians meant when they spoke of Ma'at, the principle of balance, truth, and cosmic order. When your inner world is in harmony, the outer must mirror it. This is what the Greeks meant by logos, the divine blueprint that breath speaks into existence. This is what the Vedas taught. Tat tvam asi, you are that which you seek, and breath is the bridge. So how do you use this? Not as a one-time trick, but as a daily devotion. When you wake in the morning before reaching for your phone, take 3 deep breaths and ask, what energy do I choose to embody today? Before you eat, take a conscious breath and bless the nourishment. Before a conversation, breathe and ask, what vibration do I want to bring? Before sleep, breathe slowly and release your day. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a conductor of frequency, and your breath is your baton. You don't need to understand quantum physics to breathe in alignment. You don't need to figure it all out. You just need to feel. Feel when your breath is shallow, tight, rushed. That is not who you are. Feel when your breath is deep, open, flowing. That is your natural state. Return to it often. Make it your home. And now ask yourself, if every breath I take shapes my energy, if my energy shapes my reality, then what will I choose to breathe today? Will you breathe fear or power, lack or abundance, doubt or trust? The choice is always yours, and each breath is a reset, a return, a resurrection. You've come full circle, from forgetting to remembering, from surviving to creating, from separation to union. And it all began with what was always there, your breath. So go, breathe like it matters, breathe like it's sacred, breathe like you're already the person you dream of becoming, because the breath is the bridge, and you've just crossed it.